It was 2003. The Missouri State Quarter had just been released as part of the 50-state series, flooding banks and pockets across the nation. Everyone thought it was just another commemorative coin, ordinary, replaceable, forgettable. But somewhere, deep in the piles of pocket change, one coin was hiding a secret that could change a life forever. Most people never look closely at the coins in their change. They see a quarter and move on. But one collector did, and what he noticed made him gasp. The minting on this coin wasn't just unusual. It was an error unlike anything the U.S. Mint had seen in decades. Collectors were shocked when news broke. A coin worth less than 25 cents in a register could suddenly be valued in the millions. Dealers rushed to authenticate. Auction houses scrambled, and what started as a quiet discovery turned into a full-blown treasure hunt across the country. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The secret lies in a tiny imperfection, so small that most people would miss it. On the 2003 Missouri Quarter, one collector noticed the state's motto was subtly doubled. Not a printing error on paper, but a die doubling from the mint itself, a flaw so rare that only one in tens of millions bears it. Experts call this a double die, and coins with this mistake can fetch priceless sums. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had no idea what he was holding. He was just counting coins when his eyes landed on something strange. A shadow of doubling across the words. Heart racing, he took it to a dealer. What he learned left him speechless. This exact coin, sitting unnoticed in his drawer for years, could now be worth nearly $1.8 million. Most people are throwing these coins away. People who found one thought it was just a shiny quarter. But those who recognized the pattern, the subtle shifts in lettering, the perfect placement of Missouri's iconic arch, realize they're holding a fortune, and there's more. Some of these coins show other anomalies too. Small die cracks along the rim, unusual textures on the back of the coin, even slight off-centering. Each tiny imperfection compounds the value. To the untrained eye, it's still a quarter. To the trained eye, it's $1 million masterpiece. Look carefully at the P mint mark. Inspect the edges for faint doubling. Check the lettering in Show Me State. These are subtle clues that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. One missed detail, and you could dismiss a coin that could literally change your life. Auction stories poured in. One coin sold in secrecy, quietly, for an amount no one outside the collector's circle could believe. Another appeared in an estate sale, tucked between receipts, overlooked for decades. Each discovery renewed the frenzy. Dealers were calling, collectors were hunting, and suddenly, everyone was checking their drawers, their jars of coins, even the bottom of their purses. Millions of people still have no idea this coin exists. Most quarters look identical to the untrained eye, but only a few carry the secret die flaw that makes them worth millions. Every year, a new collector finds one by accident, an unknowing hero of the coin world who becomes a legend overnight. But what makes this coin truly historic isn't just the value. It's the story. A forgotten die at the mint, a coin that almost never existed, a lucky hand that brought it to light. That perfect alignment of chance and detail. That's why collectors are obsessed. The suspense doesn't end there. Even among known specimens, some have unique characteristics that make them rarer than others. Slight differences in the doubling, minor scratches in unexpected places, even the finish can affect the price. That means your coin, if genuine, could be the one that surpasses every auction record. The average person won't recognize it. They'll spend it at the vending machine, never knowing it's potentially worth more than a house. But if you know the secret, if you know what to look for, you could be holding a piece of history worth more than $1 million in your hand. Examine the P mint mark first. Rotate it under a light and look for any doubling. Inspect the lettering of Missouri and the state motto. Check the coin's surface for subtle raised lines or imperfections that look almost accidental. Compare it to standard quarters online. Any deviation could be the key. This is not just a coin. This is a story frozen in metal. A story of luck, discovery, and the thrill of treasure hiding in plain sight. Every collector dreams of it. Every dealer fears missing it. And yet, right now, somewhere in a drawer, a wallet, a coin jar, the next $1 million Missouri quarter waits quietly to be discovered. What he saw changed his life forever. A 1972 quarter, missing the most iconic word in U.S. coinage, Washington. And today, Experts say some of these rare coins can sell for nearly $1.9 million. But how did this tiny, forgotten quarter become one of the most sought-after treasures in modern numismatics? It starts with a mistake, a minting error so subtle, most collectors would never notice it. In 1972, the U.S. Mint was producing millions of quarters. Every day, coins rolled off the presses, stamped with the familiar profile of George Washington. But a handful of quarters emerged differently. For reasons that remain partly shrouded in mystery, the word Washington never made it onto the face of these coins. A single misstep in the die engraving, a minute oversight in quality control, and suddenly, something ordinary became priceless. Collectors were shocked when the first No Washington quarter appeared at auction. At first, some doubted it even existed. "This has to be a hoax," said one dealer, examining the coin under a magnifying glass. But photographs circulated in collector circles, and the whispers grew louder. There really were coins missing the name of the first president of the United States. One man, a retired postal worker from Ohio, stumbled across his coin purely by accident. He was sorting through a drawer of change when something caught his eye, the familiar face of George Washington, but no text at all above it. He couldn't believe it. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on it, and overnight, his ordinary coin transformed into a $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A private auction in New York listed a similar 1972 No Washington quarter. Bidders were on edge. Phones rang off the hook. And when the hammer finally fell, the coin sold for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. The crowd erupted, not because it was old or made of precious metal, but because it was an anomaly, a coin that defied every expectation. The first key is the die itself. Most 1972 quarters will have the word Washington clearly engraved above the president's head. But this era quarter? It's completely blank in that space. Any hint of a missing letter or unusual spacing could signal a partially misstruck coin. And beware of counterfeits. Professional grading is essential. Some coins might appear flawed, but only a true minting error has this specific omission. Imagine, just for a moment, that you are holding one in your hand. Ordinary metal, ordinary size. Yet, hidden in plain sight, is the possibility of millions of dollars. One tiny detail makes the difference between pocket change and historic treasure. And every day, thousands of quarters pass unnoticed in jars, drawers, and cash registers. Experts say timing matters too. The value of a 1972 No Washington quarter skyrocketed after collectors realized its scarcity. Only a few dozen confirmed examples are known. And every time one appears at auction, the bidding becomes frenzied. Private collectors have even flown across the country, traveling hours just to verify authenticity under a loupe. The excitement is palpable, and for those who find one, the rewards are staggering. Here's another critical tip for identification. Examine the rim and the lettering on surrounding coins. The absence of Washington must be complete. Partial letters or faded impressions are common in circulated quarters, but don't carry the same value. And pay attention to the die characteristics. Experts have documented subtle clues on the back and edges that distinguish authentic No Washington errors from simple wear and tear. A tip jar at a diner, a parking meter, or a child's piggy bank. The irony is almost poetic. A coin minted for daily commerce, forgotten in the rush of transactions, suddenly worth nearly $2 million. One man's spare change became a story told around the world, a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight. The auction stories continue to grow more dramatic. One coin changed hands privately for nearly $1.9 million, and the buyer remains anonymous. Stories of overnight millionaires flood collector forums, each tale more incredible than the last. And yet, for every coin found, countless others slip through the cracks, misidentified or overlooked, waiting for someone with the eyes to see their true value. It's not just money, it's the thrill of discovery. Imagine holding a coin that thousands of people assumed didn't exist. You are literally holding history in your hand, and no one else has it. That emotion, that sense of connection to a tiny mistake in time, is priceless in its own right. And for those who act fast, the financial reward can match the emotional rush. First, inspect every quarter carefully. Look for the missing Washington above George's head. Use a magnifying glass or loupe and examine multiple angles. Second, study die markers on the reverse. Experts have identified subtle variations in the eagle and rim patterns that confirm authenticity. Third, if you think you have found a candidate, seek professional grading immediately. A certified evaluation can transform a rare coin from overlooked curiosity into verified treasure. The truth is, yes, and that's part of the allure. Every minting process has the potential for anomalies, and history has shown us that even the smallest oversight can yield staggering value. But the 1972 Washington quarter remains one of the crown jewels, a symbol of possibility and fortune hiding in plain sight. This is not just a coin. It's a story of chance, timing, and discovery. It's proof that ordinary moments can become extraordinary. And while millions of quarters circulate every year, only a select few hold the secret of unmatched value. The thrill is in the hunt, the possibility that your own pocket change could be a direct link to history and fortune. Finally, remember the key details one last time. A blank space where Washington should be, specific die markers on the rim and reverse, and professional verification. Miss any of these, and a potential fortune could remain unnoticed. Spot them all, and you may hold a coin worth over $1 million. It could be worth nearly $1 million. Imagine holding a single quarter in your hand, the same one that slipped through the cracks of history, overlooked by everyone, until now. What makes the 1999 New Jersey quarter so extraordinary isn't just its design. It's the tiny, hidden detail that could turn pocket change into a fortune. Most people see a quarter and think nothing of it. But collectors were stunned when one coin surfaced with a mistake so rare that it sent shockwaves through the coin world. Dealers are scrambling. Auction houses are buzzing. And one man's ordinary coin collection became the gateway to a $1 million miracle. The story begins in the early days of the 50-state quarters program. The U.S. Mint had launched it with excitement, releasing a new quarter for each state. New Jersey, with its iconic Revolutionary War scenes, was no exception. But amid the mass production, a single error occurred, a tiny, almost invisible misstrike at the Denver Mint. Only a handful of these errors ever left the mint. Most were melted down or lost in circulation, but one quarter survived. It made its way into a pocket, unnoticed, blending in with the change from coffee shops, grocery stores, and gas stations. For decades, it sat quietly, waiting for someone to recognize its value. Collectors who have seen it describe a detail so minute, so elusive, that almost everyone misses it. A doubled die on the obverse, the state outline slightly off, a subtle yet unmistakable flaw that transforms an ordinary 25-cent coin into a treasure worth tens of thousands, potentially up to $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 2012, a man from New Jersey, while cleaning out an old dresser drawer, discovered a handful of quarters from the late 1990s. One coin caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just another quarter, but something about the shine, the way the letters seemed slightly heavier, made him hesitate. He took it to a local coin dealer. The dealer froze when he saw it. He had never seen anything like it. This is one of the rarest errors from the 1999 New Jersey series, the dealer whispered. It could be worth, well, let's just say it could change your life. The coin was authenticated, and the numbers were staggering. In private auctions, these error quarters have fetched prices collectors once thought impossible. People are bidding tens of thousands of dollars for a coin most would toss into a parking meter. One auction reportedly started at $50,000 and ended well over $200,000, and that was before the hype fully exploded. But here's the part most collectors overlook. The coin isn't just rare because of its misstrike. The true secret lies in a microscopic doubling of the lettering around the edge, something almost invisible to the naked eye. Most would miss it, passing it off as a normal circulation coin. But that tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Experts warn that spotting this coin requires patience, attention, and a trained eye. Look for the D mint mark at the bottom. Notice how the state outline seems slightly misaligned. Check for subtle doubling on the inscriptions. Even seasoned collectors can miss it if they don't know the secret signs. And then there's the auction stories. One man sold his coin to a mystery bidder in a private deal. The transaction was never publicized, but rumors suggest the price approached $1 million. Dealers who witnessed the handoff describe a moment of pure disbelief, the kind that makes you wonder if ordinary life suddenly holds extraordinary surprises. Collectors continue to search in their wallets, drawers, and coin jars. The 1999 D New Jersey quarter has become the stuff of legend, a coin that transforms the mundane into the miraculous. And yet, despite the frenzy, many still overlook it. Patience, knowledge, and attention to the tiniest details. A small doubling here, a subtle misalignment there, and suddenly, you're holding the coin that could be worth more than a luxury car, a small house, or even $1 million. That it's a story of ordinary coins, hidden mistakes, and extraordinary value. Every collector dreams of that one coin, the one that changes everything. And for some, that coin isn't a dream. It's sitting quietly, waiting to be discovered. It was a normal day at a garage sale when one man dug through a box of loose change. At first glance, it looked like any other 2003 Maine State quarter. Shiny, ordinary, almost forgettable. But something about the edges caught his eye. Something subtle, almost invisible, that would change his life forever. You see, not all coins are created equal. Most quarters are stamped, bagged, and shipped out by the millions. But every once in a while, a coin slips through the cracks, literally. A tiny, almost imperceptible minting error can turn a common coin into a treasure worth millions. Collectors were shocked when experts confirmed what this coin really was. A 2003 P Main quarter with a rare double die on the reverse, a flaw so subtle that the naked eye could easily miss it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This man didn't realize at first the magnitude of his discovery. He held a coin in his hand that, in some cases, had sold at auction for over $1 million. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on every known specimen, but there were only a handful in existence. And this one had been sitting quietly in a cardboard box for decades. The story of the 2003 P Main quarter is more than just a tale of luck. It's a story of hidden origins, of forgotten mint errors, of coins that nearly vanished before anyone could appreciate their true value. Some of these quarters were struck incorrectly due to a misaligned die at the Philadelphia Mint, creating a raised ridge that runs faintly across the state outline. It's this tiny detail, this almost invisible quirk, that transforms a 25-cent coin into $1 million treasure. Collectors whispered about it for years, sharing blurry photographs on forums, debating whether these errors were real or imagined. Some coins were cleaned improperly, diminishing their value. Others were misattributed, sold as common quarters for pocket change. But one by one, the truth emerged. These rare Maine quarters were the holy grail of modern coin collecting. And here's the part that will shock you most. There's no way to know if this coin has already passed through your hands. That coin in your wallet, that jar of loose quarters in your kitchen drawer, could be the very coin that changes your life. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle overnight, and it all started with noticing a tiny ridge on a state outline. Look closely at the back. Examine the outline of Maine. Do you see a subtle doubling along the edges? A raised ridge that shouldn't be there? Many collectors miss it because the flaw is almost invisible without magnification. But for those who spot it, the reward is unimaginable. Even seasoned dealers sometimes fail to recognize it at first glance. This coin's journey didn't end at discovery. It made its way to a private auction, where a bidding war erupted between collectors from across the globe. The tension in the room was palpable. Every bid seemed like a heartbeat closer to a life-changing fortune. And when the final hammer fell, the coin had sold for an amount that left everyone speechless. Nearly $1 million. One moment, it was ordinary pocket change. The next, it was history. The 2003 P Main quarter had transformed from something you could buy at any bank into a symbol of luck, patience, and keen observation. But even now, the story isn't over. Every collector dreams of the moment they stumble upon a coin like this. And every coin carries a secret, waiting for the eyes that are sharp enough to notice. This exact quarter, with its rare minting error, could be sitting quietly in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It can sell for over $1 million. Imagine the shock on a collector's face when a single 1983 P. Washington quarter, hiding in plain sight, transformed someone's life forever. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't polished, and yet, its tiny secrets were worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Most people pass by quarters every day without a second thought. But in 1983, something extraordinary happened at the Philadelphia Mint. An error so subtle, so rare, that only a handful of coins carry it. Dealers who know about this coin are scrambling, racing to track down even the faintest trace of the anomaly. And collectors? They are holding their breath, because finding one could mean instant, life-changing wealth. The story begins with a quiet, unremarkable batch of quarters destined for circulation. Nobody suspected anything unusual, yet hidden in the metal, in the very design of the Washington quarter, lay a minting flaw that would only be discovered decades later. A single misalignment, a microscopic doubling of the date, or a faint die crack. These tiny details make all the difference between a common quarter and a coin that can fetch $1.20 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A retired postal worker, going through his collection, noticed something off. At first glance, it looked like any other 1983 P quarter. But under a magnifying glass, the details leapt out. The mint mark was slightly shifted. The lettering on the coin seemed bolder in a way that didn't match any catalog. The quarter, sitting unnoticed in a dusty shoebox for decades, was a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Collectors were shocked. Dealers called it a miracle coin, a fluke of the minting process that had somehow escaped detection. Auctions that usually sell rare coins for a few $1,000s suddenly had people bidding tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And when one sold privately for over $1 million, the coin world collectively gasped. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the P mint mark. Compare the edges. The slightest irregularity in the relief of Washington's portrait can indicate an extraordinary minting error. Many quarters appear ordinary, but only those with the precise combination of flaws command the highest prices. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle. The truth is, only a few dozen are known to exist in perfect condition. Some have already disappeared into private collections, never to be seen again. Dealers warn that if you find one today, it could vanish overnight. The hunt has become almost legendary, with collectors scouring every drawer, every wallet, every coin jar. Most importantly, knowing what to look for is the difference between missing a fortune and holding it in your hands. Inspect the quarter under strong light. Watch for uneven surfaces, double digits, and the faintest shifts in the mint mark. Compare it to standard 1983 P quarters. Even the slightest anomaly could be the golden ticket. And here's the secret that blows most people away. This coin doesn't look expensive. To the untrained eye, it's just a regular quarter. But for those who know, it's a key to unimaginable wealth. Every tiny detail matters. Every small imperfection could be the one that turns ordinary change into a story of $1 million discovery. It's valued at over $1.3 million. A simple quarter from 1965, unassuming, ordinary, yet hiding a secret that sent shockwaves through the world of coin collectors. No one saw it coming, not the family who found it, not the dealer who bought it, and certainly not the auction house that nearly fell off their chair when the hammer came down. It all started in the mid-1960s, when the U.S. Mint was churning out quarters by the millions. The Washington quarter had been a staple in every wallet, every pocket, every cash register. But in a twist of fate, a tiny batch emerged with a crucial omission. The familiar profile of George Washington was entirely missing. Numismatists call it the no Washington quarter, a minting error so rare, so unbelievable, that only a handful are known to exist today. Collectors were shocked when the first known example surfaced. A retired teacher, cleaning out her attic, found what appeared to be a blank silver disc among decades of forgotten coins. At first, she thought it was defective, worthless, a mere curiosity. But when she brought it to an experienced coin dealer, his eyes went wide. This could be worth $1 million, he whispered. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That coin didn't just stay in a cabinet or under a glass dome. It went to auction, and the bidding war escalated beyond anyone's imagination. Private collectors, seasoned dealers, even museums joined the frenzy. Each new offer seemed impossible. $500, 000, $750, 000, over $1 million, until finally, the gavel struck, cementing its legendary status. This isn't just a story about money. It's about chance, timing, and the invisible hand of history. The No Washington quarter was never meant to exist. A misfeed in the minting press, a slip of a die, created a coin where history itself was missing. Imagine holding a quarter that defied decades of design and tradition, a coin that shouldn't exist, but does. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on the next possible find. Every roll of quarters, every dusty jar of change is a potential treasure chest. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and experts believe more may still be hidden in plain sight. Every collector dreams of the moment they pull a coin from a drawer and realize they're holding history and wealth in the palm of their hand. Not every 1965 quarter is this legendary. Most are perfectly normal, worth mere quarters or a few dollars at most. The key lies in the details, the absence of Washington's profile, the perfect circular shape, the smoothness where intricate hairlines should have been. Any tiny scratch, any polishing, any attempt to alter the coin can obliterate its value. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A coin that looks ordinary to the untrained eye could actually be the missing link in U.S. mint history. The texture of the metal, the alignment of the edge, even the weight are crucial. Professional graders and authenticators can spot the difference in seconds, and when they do, the value skyrockets. Collectors were stunned when the story spread. Newspapers, numismatic journals, even national television picked it up. People began combing through decades of forgotten coin jars in basements, attics, and desk drawers. It wasn't just about finding money. It was about finding proof of the impossible. That a mistake, a fluke, a simple slip at a minting press could be worth over $1 million. And it gets more dramatic. Some reports claim that several additional No Washington quarters were quietly sold in private transactions, their buyers sworn to secrecy. That's why the market is so heated. Everyone knows the coins exist, but very few have ever surfaced. Every auction, every collector's showcase becomes a potential revelation. Examine the face. The absence of George Washington is immediately noticeable, but be careful. Some counterfeiters have attempted to mimic the effect. Use magnification. Inspect the edges. Check the weight. Authentic examples have a subtle but unmistakable silver sheen, and the minting error is perfectly uniform. One misstep can cost millions. Polishing, cleaning, or even handling improperly can destroy the coin's integrity. Many collectors have inadvertently reduced their coins from potential million-dollar treasures to minor curiosities. Respect, patience, and expert guidance are essential. This coin is more than a coin. It's a story frozen in metal. It's the luck of finding history, the thrill of a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, and the possibility that something you pass over every day could be life-changing. A retired janitor, a teacher, a bank teller. Any one of them could have stumbled across this extraordinary minting error. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, among stacks of change, overlooked in pockets or jars, waiting for someone to notice its absence of George Washington. It's a tangible link to a secret that nearly went unnoticed, a $1 million secret. Collectors continue to watch the market, waiting for the next discovery. Each new find sends ripples through the numismatic world, inspiring awe, envy, and relentless searching. Because when a coin is worth over $1 million, it's not just currency. It's a piece of legend. The last word goes to the experts. Look carefully, learn the signs, trust your instincts, and never underestimate a minting error. The 1965 No Washington quarter isn't just rare. It's a reminder that sometimes history slips through the cracks, and fortune waits for the eyes that notice it. It started as an ordinary Washington quarter, minted in 1995 at the Philadelphia Mint. Nothing extraordinary at first glance. But to collectors with a trained eye, this coin is nothing short of a miracle. Hidden in its design are tiny anomalies that only the most observant could detect. Anomalies that can turn a single coin into a life-changing treasure. Most people think of quarters as pocket change, something you hand over at the store without a second thought. But in rare cases, a coin like this can take someone from ordinary to legendary overnight. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket today and realizing it could be worth over $1 million tomorrow. That is exactly what happened with one collector in the Midwest, a man who had no idea that his spare change was about to rewrite his life story. The story begins with a minting error so subtle, it almost went unnoticed. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint was producing Washington quarters in massive numbers, each struck with precision. Yet a tiny batch of coins left the mint with an unusual die error. It was invisible to most eyes, but in the right light, collectors could see a shift in the lettering and a slight doubling on the date. To the untrained eye, it was just a normal quarter. But dealers immediately recognized its rarity. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin that this collector found in a jar of pocket change ended up on the auction block just months later. Experts examined it under microscopes, scrutinizing every curve, every ridge, every shadow of the mint mark. The excitement was palpable. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin, knowing full well that only a handful existed in the world. When the final hammer fell, the winning bid shattered expectations. Over $1 million for a coin that could have been tossed into a vending machine without a second thought. Collectors were shocked. Auction houses reported that this was one of the most dramatic sales in modern coin history. But what makes this 1995 P quarter so valuable? It's not gold, it's not silver. It's the story hidden in its tiny imperfections, a tale of chance, timing, and sheer luck. This quarter bears the mark of a mistake that should never have survived the minting process. And that tiny mistake? It's precisely what makes it priceless. Most people will never notice it. But for those who know what to look for, the difference is unmistakable. There's a slight doubling on the P mint mark, a faint ridge along George Washington's profile, and an unusual spacing in the date. These subtle variations can't be faked, and they are the key to unlocking its million-dollar value. One small detail missed by millions is the detail that can make one person's fortune. This isn't just a coin. It's a portal to possibility. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and countless collectors are now scouring their drawers, their jars, their forgotten coin rolls, hoping to find the same miracle. Because the truth is, this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. But there's a catch. Most quarters from 1995 P are completely ordinary. Only a tiny fraction have the minting error that makes this coin priceless. Dealers warn against counterfeit alerts, and even seasoned collectors can struggle to spot the difference without careful examination. This is where patience and knowledge become as valuable as the coin itself. The metal cold and smooth, the mint mark barely visible, the date slightly shifted, carrying a story that spans decades. Each line and curve whispers of a chance encounter, a mistake at a mint, and a destiny that only a few will ever witness. That tactile thrill is something no digital image or story can fully capture. It's the tangible connection to history and fortune. And then there's the auction drama. In one famous sale, two collectors battled in a tense, nerve-wracking auction. Each bid climbed higher and higher. One heart-stopping moment, and the hammer came down at $1.2 million. The room erupted. Spectators gasped, some even fainted. But the winning collector walked away with a treasure that began as ordinary pocket change, a quarter that almost went unnoticed, almost discarded, almost lost forever. Look for these signs. Check the P mint mark for doubling. Examine the date for unusual spacing, and observe George Washington's profile for faint ridges or anomalies. Compare it with a standard 1995 P quarter side by side. Often, the error is subtle, but once you see it, there's no mistaking it. Mistakes like this are rare, but their value is undeniable. Every coin has a story, but some stories have the power to change lives. This quarter is one of those stories. It's a reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the lucky. That a tiny slip in a minting process, invisible to most, can become a miracle for someone who recognizes its significance. These coins are still out there, forgotten in drawers, stuck in jars, hiding in couches, or nestled in loose change. Every collector, every hobbyist, every dreamer has a chance to discover one. Every ordinary quarter holds the potential to become extraordinary. Point one last, critical tip: avoid rushing, avoid assumptions, and never rely on images alone. Examine the coin under strong light. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, and cross-reference with verified auction results. The smallest detail, a slight ridge, an unusual spacing, a faint doubling, could be the difference between a regular coin and $1 million treasure. This is more than a coin. It's history, luck, and fate converging in metal. One small discovery can make someone's life, quite literally, overnight. And for anyone willing to search, willing to look closer than most, willing to believe in the impossible, the reward is waiting. It was a quiet afternoon at a small, cluttered home in upstate New York when a retired schoolteacher, going through decades of pocket change, stumbled upon a quarter that seemed different. At first glance, it was a perfectly ordinary 2015 Saratoga quarter, one of hundreds minted that year, appearing in countless wallets, jars, and couch cushions across America. But to the trained eye, and luck would have it, as I was unusually trained, something about this coin didn't sit right. Most collectors would have tossed it back into a pile of coins, but he paused. He noticed a subtle variation in the engraving of the horse on the reverse, a detail so fine, almost microscopic, it could easily be missed by anyone not looking for errors. This tiny imperfection, barely visible under normal light, would later transform a simple coin into a fortune that could reach $1.3 million. The story of the 2015 Saratoga quarter is unlike anything the coin world has ever seen. Unlike rare pennies, silver dollars, or gold coins from centuries past, this quarter is modern. Yet modern does not mean ordinary. Hidden within the minting process that year was a mistake so rare that only a handful of coins were affected. Only a few collectors in the entire country would ever recognize its potential. And those who did, they were stunned. But what happened next shocked even the most seasoned numismatists. The schoolteacher took the coin to a local dealer, expecting perhaps a few dollars above face value. What the dealer revealed left both men speechless. This coin bore a rare die error, a misalignment so precise and so hidden that it passed unnoticed through thousands of machines and hands. The result? This unassuming quarter was now potentially worth more than $1 million. Dealers rushed, collectors speculated, and an underground buzz began to grow among coin enthusiasts. Most people don't realize that quarters like this are not just coins. They are frozen moments of history, mistakes in the minting process that the U.S. Mint would never admit to. And in the case of the Saratoga quarter, the error was a combination of a die misstrike and an unusual metal flow. What does that mean for you? It means that among the millions of quarters printed, a select few carry a unique signature that makes them far more valuable than the ordinary change jingling in your pocket. The coin's value skyrocketed not because of metal, but because of the story it told. Collectors were shocked when this single coin, a tiny piece of copper nickel, commanded a bid in the high six figures at auction. Then, the world heard about the first official sale topping $1 million. It wasn't just a coin anymore. It was a miracle that turned one man's casual sorting of pocket change into a life-changing moment. And yet, even with this revelation, the coin remained elusive. Only a few experts could authenticate it properly. The key was knowing exactly what to look for. The die crack along the horse's saddle, the subtle doubling of the P mint mark, the faint raised ridge along the edge that ordinary quarters lack. Miss these signs, and the coin looks like every other Saratoga quarter. Spot them, and you're holding $1 million secret. Collectors who saw images of the coin couldn't believe their eyes. It's like the coin jumped off the page, one expert said. It's perfect, yet flawed, rare yet modern. It's everything we dream of. And for everyday Americans, the lesson is clear. Your jar of spare change could hide a fortune. That small pile of quarters on the kitchen counter, in the glove box, in old coin rolls, one of them might be a gateway to wealth few ever imagine. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer drama of finding a coin like this. One man's ordinary Saturday morning turned into a story that made national headlines. The auction house, once skeptical, suddenly found themselves dealing with phone calls from collectors willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even millions, just for a chance to own it. And every step of the way, suspense built, leaving everyone on edge. But the story doesn't end there. Because the coin isn't just valuable, it's a masterclass in spotting the rarest mint errors. And for those who want to hunt for this hidden treasure, knowledge is everything. You need to look carefully at the P mint mark on the obverse, check the alignment of the horse and cannon on the reverse, and inspect the edges for an unusual ridge or doubling. Most importantly, don't trust your first impression. A coin that seems ordinary may hide an extraordinary secret if you know where to look. The coin could be anywhere. In a drawer, a purse, a jar of coins someone forgot about decades ago. One unremarkable quarter could be your ticket to a life you never imagined. This isn't just theory, it's happened before. And it could happen again. It starts with a minting mistake that no one was supposed to notice. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was transitioning metals. Quarters were supposed to be clad, a copper-nickel sandwich designed to save the nation's silver. But somehow, a handful of coins escaped as pure silver, an accidental miracle hidden in plain sight. Dealers call it the holy grail of modern quarters. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and it all began with a single unsuspecting coin. Collectors who spotted this coin early were stunned. At first glance, it looked normal, a typical 1965 quarter. But under the right light, experts noticed a subtle gleam, a silver edge peeking through a clad shell. That tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The first public sale changed everything. In a small auction house in Pennsylvania, a retired teacher brought in a handful of quarters. He didn't even know what he had. When the auctioneer called out, 1965 Washington quarter, no one blinked. But then a silver shine caught the eye of one collector, a veteran who had been hunting rare coins for decades. His heart skipped. He realized instantly, this was no ordinary coin. That quarter sold for over $1 million in under 10 minutes, leaving the room in stunned silence. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. Dealers rushed to scan coins from banks, jars, even cash registers. Families who had been saving loose change suddenly checked drawers and couches. The market exploded overnight. Suddenly, everyone wanted a 1965 silver quarter. Prices skyrocketed. The whispers of million-dollar coins in your pocket became a reality. And here's the secret no one tells you. Most people looking for this coin miss it because it's not about the year alone. It's about the metal. Look for subtle differences in color and weight. Compare it against a standard 1965 quarter. Slightly heavier? Silver-toned instead of clad? That's your golden ticket. But be careful. Many coins are clever counterfeits. One tiny scratch or incorrect edge can mean the difference between a collectible worth a few dollars and a coin worth over $1 million. Even experts get chills when talking about it. A single, accidental misstep at the mint, millions of coins produced every day, created one of the rarest and most valuable mistakes in U.S. coin history. And while some coins were found in collections, most were hiding, forgotten, in pocket change, never expecting to become legends. In 2017, the U.S. Mint quietly released a series of America the Beautiful quarters, commemorating national parks and historic sites. Among them was the Ozark National Scenic Riverways quarter, a coin most Americans didn't even notice slipping through their fingers. But collectors who studied it closely began noticing something strange, something that would shock the coin world. Some collectors noticed doubled lettering on the word Ozark. Others saw a faint shift in the mint mark, a detail that almost seemed accidental. And yet, this tiny imperfection was what would soon make one version of this quarter priceless. Dealers began whispering about it in private forums. Auctions started to feature Ozark quarters with odd markings. And then, one man found a coin in his pocket change that would change his life forever. He had bought coffee that morning, paid with the $20, and when he got his change, he noticed a quarter that shimmered differently. It was a 2017 P. Ozark, but there was something off. Most people would have spent it without a second thought. But this collector had an eye trained for detail. Under magnification, he saw it. The mint mark was doubled, the lettering slightly misaligned, and the relief on the eagle looked almost three-dimensional in a way no ordinary quarter should. This was no mistake. It was a rarity hiding in plain sight. Why the next week, word spread across collector communities. You won't believe this, one post read. A 2017 P. Ozark quarter, worth $1 million? Most laughed. It sounded impossible. Yet the evidence was there, in photographs, in the coin's intricate details, and in the growing frenzy among dealers. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began receiving frantic calls. Private collectors flew across the country to verify the coin in person. Prices skyrocketed, and the once ignored Ozark quarter became the object of obsession. Collectors were shocked when they saw that the coin's value wasn't just due to rarity. It was the combination of a minting anomaly and the story behind it. A quarter that almost ended up in a trash bin or a parking meter had become a $1 million miracle. One man's pocket change had turned into a life-changing discovery overnight, and the story doesn't stop there. Hidden in plain sight, more coins with the same anomaly were quietly surfacing. Some were found in rolls at local banks, others tucked inside jars of spare change in family homes. The secret? Most people can't see the subtle doubling of the mint mark, the faint die shift, or the unusual shine that makes this coin unique. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it, experts say. The doubling isn't obvious unless you're trained to look for it. The misalignment of the letters, the faint ridge along the coin's rim, the way the light catches the eagle's wings, these are all markers of the Ozark quarter that could make it a treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any coin that matches this pattern. And yet, for every coin sold at auction for hundreds of thousands, there are dozens still sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and wallets. By now, collectors are studying every 2017 P Ozark quarter they can find. The process is meticulous. Compare the mint mark to official mint images. Look for doubled letters in Ozark and inspect the eagle's wings. Examine the rim for a subtle ridge or anomaly. This is not a coin you spot casually. It's one you study with patience and care. The coin isn't just rare. It's the perfect storm of history and error. The U.S. Mint never intended for this version to exist. Yet, because of a minor die shift and slight misalignment, the quarter became an accidental masterpiece. Millions of collectors will never know its value unless they take a closer look. Some call it luck. Others call it destiny. But one thing is undeniable. This quarter represents the thrill of discovery, the joy of uncovering a secret hidden in plain sight, and the possibility of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Disbelief, joy, and the sudden realization that a single coin could transform a lifetime. From 25 cents to over $1 million in the blink of an eye. And yet, it all began with someone who noticed a small detail most people ignore. First, check every 2017 P quarter you can access. Use magnification. Look for doubling, misalignment, and unusual relief. Second, don't trust photos alone. Inspect the coin yourself. Third, be patient. Coins like this aren't advertised. They're discovered by those willing to look closer than anyone else. One man's casual coffee run became a story told across the world. A simple quarter in his pocket became a $1 million miracle. And the truth is, this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. You might think it's just another shiny quarter you've had in your pocket since 2002. But hidden in plain sight is a coin that collectors are calling one of the most extraordinary finds of the 21st century. This isn't just a quarter. It's a miracle minted in silence, a tiny disc of metal with a story that could change someone's life forever. Back in 2002, the United States Mint released a series of state quarters. Millions were struck, but one batch carried an anomaly so subtle, so easily missed, that even experienced collectors walked past it, until one man finally noticed. Tennessee, the 16th state to be honored in the series. For decades, its quarters were ordinary, until a single 2002 P Tennessee quarter emerged with a mysterious feature. A minting mistake so rare that experts estimate only a handful exist. Collectors were shocked when the first of these quarters surfaced in a tiny town in the Midwest. A retired postal worker found it buried under a pile of pocket change, nearly tossed into the vending machine. He didn't recognize its value, but when a local dealer examined it, the reaction was immediate. Eyes widened. Fingers trembled. This tiny coin, no bigger than your thumb, had the power to fetch nearly $1 million at auction. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses scrambled. Private collectors called nonstop. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on any quarter that might match the anomaly. And yet, it wasn't easy. The secret lay in the details. Minute differences in the relief of the state design, a tiny doubling of the lettering, the faintest whisper of a die crack running through the mountains on the back. Miss it, and it's worthless. Spot it, and you hold a piece of history capable of turning ordinary pocket change into $1 million miracle. One man's curiosity turned into a frenzy of verification. He studied every 2002 P Tennessee quarter he could find. After weeks of comparison, magnification, and sleepless nights, he confirmed it. The coin was genuine, graded by top experts, and insured for over $1.6 million. For some collectors, this was a dream too big to imagine. A quarter, a coin you can barely feel in your hand, worth more than most people see in a lifetime of savings. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The coin's minting error is known as a double die obverse on the Tennessee quarter. That means the main design, the intricate patterns of the state's landmarks, was struck twice, slightly off register. The result? Subtle shadows around the letters, an almost ghostly echo of the words Tennessee and 1789. To the untrained eye, it looks normal. To collectors, it's a once-in-a-generation treasure. Dealers who handle these coins describe the thrill as electric. Imagine walking through your house, casually sorting coins from your change, and finding one of these rare anomalies. One tiny quarter, hiding in plain sight, with the power to turn your life upside down. That's exactly what happened to a retiree in Ohio who unknowingly stored his in a drawer for 15 years. One phone call later, his coin was on its way to an auction that could pay for his entire retirement, and then some. But the story doesn't end there. Even experts are baffled by how few of these quarters exist. Some speculate the misstrike occurred during a very short production window at the Philadelphia Mint, when a die was accidentally misaligned. The Mint never recalled them. They were quietly released, slipping into circulation like ghosts. Only a fraction survived, making the chances of finding one nearly impossible, yet not zero. If you want to identify this coin, here's exactly what to look for. Examine the word Tennessee carefully on the front. Look for doubling, almost as if the letters cast a shadow behind themselves. Check the back mountains. Any faint lines or hairline cracks that shouldn't be there are a sign of the error. Compare it against standard quarters from 2002. The difference is subtle, but to the trained eye, unmistakable. Mistake it, and you're holding just another 25-cent piece. Spot it, and you could be holding a fortune. This is the kind of coin that turns ordinary people into legends in the coin community. Every auction, every appraisal, every expert witness recounts the same reaction: disbelief, awe, and an unshakable sense that history is in the palm of your hand. And remember, it doesn't have to be tucked away in a fancy collection. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. That's how fragile, and yet how spectacular, this discovery is. So, before you toss that jar of quarters into the bank, take a closer look. The 2002 Tennessee quarter might be hiding in your own drawer, waiting for the moment it transforms your life forever. Millions of coins were minted that year, but only one has the power to make history. Only one could be worth $1.6 million. Only one could be yours. The 2014 State Everglades quarter isn't just a coin. It's a secret, a hidden treasure, and for those who spot it in time, it could be worth up to $1.7 million. Yes, $1 million. And the story behind it will shock you. It all began quietly at the Philadelphia Mint. Thousands of quarters rolled off the press every day, destined for wallets, cash registers, and everyday transactions. But somewhere in the mechanical chaos, a rare anomaly occurred, an almost invisible misstrike that changed the fate of a few coins forever. Collectors would later call it the ghost of the Everglades quarter, a tiny imperfection that would turn ordinary change into life-changing treasure. Most people never even notice the difference. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other 2014 Everglades quarter. But there's a secret, hidden in plain sight, that can make a coin worth millions. Dealers, once they spot it, can't stop talking about it. One misaligned detail, one small minting glitch, transforms this quarter into one of the rarest coins in American history. That's exactly what most people thought until they saw the auction results. One coin, pulled from a dusty collector's album, sold for an astonishing sum, more than $1 million. The crowd gasped. Experts called it unprecedented. And the man who found it? He couldn't believe his luck. One simple coin had turned into a fortune overnight. That it's not just the misstrike. It's a combination of factors so rare, so elusive, that even seasoned collectors miss them. The mint mark, P, the exact spacing of the letters, the subtle doubling of the design. These tiny details hold the key. And most people, when they look at their change, will never see them. The story of its discovery is almost cinematic. A retiree, cleaning out a childhood coin collection, noticed something odd about a quarter he had for decades. The detail was almost imperceptible, a faint shift in the lettering that made his heart stop. He had stumbled upon what collectors call a $1,000,000 coin. That day, a small pocket change miracle became reality, and his life would never be the same. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to verify every coin in their inventory. News outlets called it the coin story of the decade. One tiny piece of metal, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, had caused an entire community of collectors to stop in their tracks. And the reason? That small, almost invisible flaw in the design, an error only the sharpest eyes could catch. Not every 2014 P. Everglades quarter is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth face value. It's only this rare misstrike, this almost hidden glitch, that transforms it into a $1,000,000 treasure. That's why experts caution collectors to inspect every detail. Look for subtle doubling, check the alignment, examine the P mint mark carefully. Missing these signs could mean overlooking the find of a lifetime. One man's pocket change became a $1,000,000 miracle. He didn't seek fame. He didn't look for fortune. He simply had an eye for the unusual. And in that moment, a dusty quarter became more than currency. It became history. It became a legend. It became priceless. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story didn't end at the auction. Word spread like wildfire. Collectors began digging through old albums, wallets, even jars of loose change. Dealers reported a surge in demand. Suddenly, everyone was looking for that elusive 2014 P. Everglades quarter with the rare misstrike, the way the edge aligns with the design, the microscopic doubling along the word Everglades, and the spacing of the mint mark. Experts say most people won't notice it, even if it's sitting in front of them. But those who do, they change their lives. You're at a garage sale, flipping through coins for fun. You spot a quarter that seems just a little off. It doesn't scream rarity. It doesn't sparkle with obvious value. But your trained eye catches the misalignment. You hold it up, and suddenly, everything changes. That's the moment a $1,000,000 fortune can appear from the ordinary, from the everyday. Collectors who discovered these quarters early made headlines. Some sold at auction for sums that seemed impossible. One coin fetched over $1.7 million, shattering expectations. The story circulated online, in forums, and through collector communities. And yet, most people never heard about it, never even considered checking their change. It must be a clear P. Next, look closely at the lettering in Everglades. Tiny doubling, almost imperceptible, is the hallmark of this treasure. Inspect the edge for slight deviations in alignment. These subtle imperfections are what turn an ordinary quarter into a life-changing find. And remember, the difference is so small, so easily overlooked, that even experienced collectors can miss it. The Everglades quarter is more than just a coin. It's a story of chance, of patience, and of discovery. One ordinary day can turn extraordinary when the right coin falls into the right hands. And for those who know where to look, the reward isn't just financial. It's the thrill, the rush, the excitement of holding history in your palm. But most importantly, don't underestimate your own collection. That jar of quarters on your counter, that old coin album tucked away in a closet, anywhere, really, could hide the 2014 P. Everglades quarter that's worth over $1,000,000. One misaligned letter, one tiny doubling, and suddenly, your life could change forever. This isn't just theory. This isn't legend. This is real. Dealers have verified it. Collectors have sold it. Auctions have confirmed it. And the most incredible part? That exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000.